Hi, my name's Paul and I'm from Porsche Bears UK. Today I'm going to show you how to do an odometer gear repair on a Porsche 993 speedometer. Good morning. Today we are going to show you how to change the odometer gear in a Porsche 993 speedometer. First part of the job is to remove this outer bezel here. And the way we do this is by using a small screwdriver and gently tease this away from here. I'm going to do this in a second. I'm just demonstrating what you have to do with one hand while I hold the camera with the other hand. I'll take a picture as I go along. So you just have to gently work this outer bezel all the way around, just gently easing it away from the body of the odometer, speedometer, depends where you are in the world. Just keep going all the way around. Eventually this will come off. I'll keep going for a minute off camera. As you can see, I've worked this pretty much all the way around now. Just a little bit difficult for it to come off there. There we go. Okay, what we're going to do, and then that will just gently pop away there, which gives us access to the insides. Okay, now I've got the bezel off the front. We've got to undo these 1, 2, 3, 4 screws on the back here, so we can get to the workings inside the clock. These are thread locked in, so they snap. They'll make a kind of clicking noise when you first undo them. So there's just 4 of these. It should be easy enough to get out. It says on the back of this clock here it was made in 96. That's kind of cool, isn't it? I was 16. Oh no, I wasn't 16, I was 26. These are slightly small. And one last one. Okay, that's those 4 out of there. Next we're just going to gently lift the case off there. Now in here you can see the motor that drives the odometer and the speed, the printed circuit board on the top. This printed circuit board gently you can just gently remove that. That just pulls off very carefully. Very carefully, just catch in there. Okay, let's just move that out of the way for a minute. Then we're going to take these 4 screws out here. These are a different length to the other one, so I like to put them in a slightly different place. Just careful with these, you don't want to round the heads on them. 2. 3. 4. Then you can just carefully move that out of the way. I've just moved this out of the way now. Last thing I'm going to do before we start getting to the actual gear itself is I'm going to take this motor, these 2 screws out for the motor here. These are quite small, so once again put them in a separate place. Okay. Now we can get to the motor. That's a little tight in there. Come on, baby. Come on, out you come. Once you've got the motor screws out, there's just those two there. You can gently pull this apart. I'm going to turn that slightly so you can see it a little bit better. You can gently pull that apart. The angle of the dangle's wrong there, isn't it? Just where my thumb is, you can see the odometer gear there. And okay, so what we're going to do next is just gently get that out with a pair of tweezers. A little bit tricky, this bit. There it is. And you can see on our gear here, hopefully you can if the camera focuses, that there's a tooth missing just there. Just one tiny tooth missing there. And that's going to stop it from working. See, the other side's working absolutely fine. But just one tooth. It's all it takes to stop that odometer gear from working. Oh, there's a bit stuck as well. Maybe it's seized up and chewed the tooth off the gear. Okay, so I'm going to open my pack of gears and we'll get it replaced. Okay, this reassembly section is a little bit tricky. You need to be opening up this gap here to make it wide enough for you to get the new gear on using your tweezers. I'm just using my thumb here to open this out. You've got to be careful because it's pressing against this piece of plastic here, and the last thing you need to do is break that. So gently, I'm inserting that in there, giving it a little bit, when that just pops over there, and release, and away. Thanks, Bob Mortimer. And then that just gently pushes itself back together. That's that. Let's move that back round out of the way for a second. And then we should be able to get the two screws in place to hold the motor in place. Okay, it is that simple. It is tricky because of this, moving this out here, resting against this piece of plastic here, which, you know, it's 30-year-old bit of plastic. It is likely to break. So just be super careful when you're doing it, and be gentle when you're putting it back together. Next job I'm going to do is just pop these two screws back in. I'm going to pop the white plastic back on, pop that back on, and we'll start to reassemble the whole thing. One little thing I should note, just actually before putting these two screws back in, when I was just pushing mine back together, the motor didn't come and sit flush against this plastic here like it should do. So all I've done, I've used my tweezers and I've rotated the gear very slightly, which is a little bit tricky, but just rotate the gear very slightly, and then it all clicks back exactly where it should fit. So that's pressing against there, and that is pressing against there. So we can get the screws in happily now, and we know it's all in line. Okay, and these were the two short screws. This is why I like keeping everything separate. Put that in there. Okay, that's all back in. Nice. Check those tight. Okay, then we're going to put this assembly back on. You see it says 96 on here as well. I really like that date stamping stuff that Porsche do. And last one. Okay, that's that back together. And if you remember when we took this apart, all of these wires fitted in this guide section here. Just tidily pop those back in there. Okay, and then just gently pull that over. Come on, go back in your hole. There we go. And then you can see that that fits back on there where it was. Nice. It's all still working. Okay. Right, so just want to make sure we get this right. There's inside here, can you see that there are two little grey rubber rings still in there. One of them fell off when I was taking it apart. All I'm just doing is making sure I put the rubber ring back on where it came from, which I believe is this one. I guess what we could do is take them off, all of them, and put them on there so that we know we've got it right. Can't be wrong then, can we? Okay, all present and correct. Then we're going to reassemble this section. What I did when I took this apart, I put a little line here so I knew that was where the odometer reset was. And that all fits nicely back in there. Yeah, except it didn't fit nicely back in there. Let's try that again. Ah, that's because this shifted. Okay, let's just make sure that fits where it should. Okay, that's correct. Same again. Odometer reset. I've got the line on my thing, so I know that that is where that should be. Gently push it back together. Okay, and all my screws line up. So let's just pop those back in there. One, two. I mean, super careful when I'm holding this on the other side because it'll be really easy to snap that off. I have done that before. Three, and finally 4 of those bad boys in there. Where's those in? I don't normally bother with thread locking these back in. They're thread locked from the factory. They're screwed into plastic. They don't generally come loose again after we've done these repairs. Tight but not too tight, don't want to thread them. spinning slightly, that one is, I don't know why. Okay, all done. Nice. It's not quite sitting at 0 anymore, that's strange. Right, next we're going to refit the bezel. As I showed you a minute ago, I have marked here in line with the odometer reset. I also put a mark on here, which is going to be tricky to see. I don't know whether you can see that. There is a very slight mark just here. I did with a black Sharpie, so I know I can put that back in exactly the same place. Keeps the bezel right. You can't get the glass wrong anyway because it's got the hole in. Generally, I give the glass a bit of a wipe on the inside and out to make sure it's nice and clean before putting it back together. Right, so I've just given the glass a bit of a wipe. I don't use any solvent or anything on that on the inside of the glass. I hate to put this back together and get it steaming up. Because I only opened up one side of the bezel here with the screwdriver, what I've done, I've slipped it over on the other side first. I'm just going to click that in and then gently pull this all the way around so it all fits back on. Going to be relatively gentle with it. A firm hand, they say, a firm hand.